Hey everybody, it's Matt. I'm making a new Heroclix video. I'm making another Heroclix rules article video. This time it's rules 5 from a distance. And it looks like they're going to be talking about range attacks and stuff like that. So let's just jump into this thing. Heroclix masterminds. It's no secret to Heroclix players that there are huge advantages to acting from a distance instead of up close. Well, of course. This isn't just talking about ranged combat, it's also meaning utilizing hypersonic speed, maybe even with barrier to keep your opponents away after, or even utilizing buffs like Perplex and Krakoan Revival while out of range of opposing threats. One of our goals in this set of rules updates is to help level the playing field between close and ranged attackers. Okay, I can agree with that. I totally can agree with that. I feel like for the majority of the time I've been playing this game, range has always been has a huge advantage over close, and I've always wanted to. I keep trying to make these close combat teams that can get in and get close and tie down the opponent, but it's really hard when certain pieces give range teams so much mobility that they can just keep moving around and keep getting around the field and just keep taking pot shots from range. So we tried to do this by strengthening close attackers and removing some obstacles they face. We're going to start off with a quick summary of the changes, followed by some details. Okay, characters with multiple lightning bolts will be able to multi-target, even making close attacks. Okay, that's a logical, but that's a pretty big change. Hindering terrain will no longer impact movement, but will continue to impact targeting. That's a very big change. That's a very, very big change. Knockback will do less damage. I'm going to etch out. There will be no longer knockback damage. And knockback will default to moving a character 3 squares. Another really big change. Okay, let's talk about bolts and targeting. So what they're talking about here is it was hard. Some people at the very beginning of the game thought that, you know, if a close combat piece had additional lightning bolts, they could target multiple people in close combat, and you can't currently, but it makes sense if someone can, like if Batman is knocking over multiple goons with a single leg sweep, all that kind of stuff. They say because this was not a part of the game before now, there's not going to be a lot of previous characters that will be able to take advantage of this. But going forward, they're going to be designing more pieces with lower to zero range with multiple targets that are meant to be able to get in close and attack multiple pieces in close combat. How do I feel about that? I'm actually looking forward to that. I think it's an interesting mechanic. Like one of my issues with Incapacitate was that if I was doing it from range and I had 3 targets, I could incap 3 different people. But if I was up close against an opponent, even if I was next to 3 different opponents or opposing pieces, I couldn't incap all 3 up close. And I felt like, well, that wasn't fair at all. So now, if you have incap, I think it's a huge buff to incap. If you have incap and you're up close against 3 different people and you have 3 different targets, you could incap all 3 of them. Now, it does look like, if I have to assume things, you will have to split up your damage if you do a close attack against multiple targets. And that's going to be sucky, but, you know, I mean, there's ways you can get around that. You could be carrying an object. I don't know. I guess if you were carrying an object, rip super strength. If somehow you were carrying a heavy, rip super strength. And somehow you had close combat expert, you could get a +3 to your damage. And then you could, let's say you had a 3 already, so you could be doing 6 damage. You had 2 lightning bolts. You could hit 2 different people for 3. So there are some usefulness, but like if you have like 3 damage and you're trying to hit 3 different pieces, it's not going to be that beneficial to split up the damage, but it does give you multiple options to hit. That's the thing. You could have somebody with a 20 defense, somebody with a 16 defense, and somebody with an 18 defense, and you're just like, I'll target all three of them. Let's see what happens. If I roll really, really good, I could hurt the higher defense one. If I roll really, really bad, I could still maybe hit the lower defense one. All that kind of stuff. It gives you more options. I don't hate this overall. So I feel like I like this idea. I feel like there's a lot of potential for fun combinations with this added bolts to close combat attacks, and I don't really see there being a lot of negatives to this change. So I'm happy with it. I'm happy overall with it. Okay, moving on. Hindering Terrain. While it might not feel like Hindering Terrain disproportionately helps ranged characters right now, it benefits them relatively to close attackers in at least two ways. It can be damaging to get near a ranged attacker in Hindering Terrain. So what you're talking about is, if there's Hindering Terrain in front of a ranged attacker, the close person is going to have to stop if they enter Hindering Terrain, or they're going to be slowed down if they're moving through Hindering Terrain, unless they have flight or some kind of improved movement. And then also, it can be challenging to get near a character's backup if they're hiding in Hindering Terrain, which I think everybody does. You know, all our support pieces that are just using Perplex or Outwit or Probability Control or even just TKing or something, we put them in Hindering Terrain because at least gives them a little bit more defense. It gives them a little bit harder to hit from that direction, you know? So what they're saying is, even though it's harder to shoot them in Hindering Terrain, at least the people from range can make that shot, while the people up close, when they're trying to get to them, it's a lot harder for them. So I can understand that. So what they're doing is they're removing the movement penalty of Hindering Terrain, but keeping the hindrance of targeting for a few bit. So what they're doing is, if you're trying to shoot at people through Hindering, you're still going to get the +1 defense. But if you try to move through Hindering, you're not going to get the slowdown. You're not going to get the stop. The new rules for Hindering is line of fire when a character makes a ranged attack and a hindered line of fire is drawn between the attacker and its target. Modify the target's defense +1. Basically, what they're doing is they're making Hindering Terrain obscuring terrain. If you don't know what obscuring terrain is, on newer maps, instead of the green boxes around everything, there was white boxes, a white outline, and that called it obscuring terrain, which didn't slow down movement but still hindered targeting. So what they've done is they made Hindering Terrain obscuring terrain, and I can see that from two different perspectives. Why didn't they just put more obscuring terrain on maps instead of Hindering Terrain, and then they wouldn't even have to change Hindering Terrain? That's the first perspective. The second perspective is some of this makes sense, but I don't understand how somebody can run through Hindering Terrain and not get hindered. Like they say at some point, they're like, from a theme perspective, when considering the description of Hindering Terrain that is hard to traverse, like a park bench, it doesn't seem like something that would slow down most heroes. Okay, I understand that, but it adds to the game when it does slow them down. You know, like, if Batman can move over every type of elevation, you know, if he can jump over buildings and run through water and all that kind of stuff without stopping, then he doesn't play like Batman. But if he has to go around a park bench and climb up a ladder, then yeah, maybe he's playing more like a Batman character then, you know? And that's what I'm saying. Like, these difference in elevations and the different ways the characters move around the maps is what makes them special. And makes them stand out and gives other characters bonuses that other characters do not have. But if you remove the movement penalty from Hindering Terrain, suddenly every character has improved movement hindering. Suddenly every character treats Hindering Terrain the same exact way. Suddenly all the characters are being played the same way. That's what I'm trying to say. Suddenly Superman, who could just fly over a bush, is moving the same exact way as J. Jonah Jameson, who, yeah, he might have to climb over a park bench. Explain to me, again, we're coming up in these rule changes. Explain to me why J. Jonah Jameson and Superman are playing the same exact way. Both are ignoring pushing damage, and they can move over almost any kind of type of terrain without stopping. Explain to me that. Explain to me that. You know, I don't like that. So the change to hindering, down. I call that that's a negative to me. I don't like the change. I can understand where they're coming from, but I don't like it, especially when it comes to smoke cloud. Like one of the strategic options. I go back to the very first article. Strategic choices for veterans. One of the strategic choices for veterans was using smoke cloud and putting it down in a choke point and saying, if you try to move through there, you're gonna stop. And now you can't do that anymore unless they change smoke cloud to specifically stop movement. It's a useless power now. I mean, you're gonna get it's not useless. You're still gonna get the +1 to defense, and perhaps you can still modify their attack -1 if they're in your smoke cloud. But one of the strategic veteran options is now gone, and it feels bad, man. It feels bad. This whole article series has been all about new players feeling bad. What about veteran players feeling bad? Crap. You know, again, what new players? What new players are out there that you're accommodating them for because they feel bad, but all these veteran players that are feeling bad, you're like, well, they're going to still keep spending money, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the hell they feel. Let's talk about Knockback. Knockback is fun and flavorful, but it's complicated. I think that's what they're trying to say. It's complicated. Not really, but okay. You know, again, they don't want people to have to learn this game. They want people to just sit down and just. So one thing, if you've seen the Wonder Woman products coming out, one of them is the box set. It basically is a starter set, but it's more of a. It's a big package. If you've seen the Cosmic Clash set or anything, like, it's a big package, and people have noticed on it, the Wonder Woman, whatever it's called, starter set, whatever it's called, that almost nowhere on the package is the word Heroclix, but all over the package is Wonder Woman and all that kind of stuff, DC Comics, all that kind of stuff. And to me, that illustrates that Wizkids knows Heroclix players are already going to buy it. They're not marketing that product to Heroclix players. They're marketing that product to board game players. They're going to say, oh, a Wonder Woman board game. We should try that. We should try that. And I honestly feel, a part of me honestly feels, these changes are not made for new Heroclix players. They're not made to make the game better for veteran Heroclix players. These changes are here to make the game more fun, less not fun, less feels bad for board game players. They do not want board game players to sit down and have negative feelings or bad feelings or whatever while playing their Wonder Woman board game. There was a lot of hand signals there, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. I honestly think, part of me honestly thinks that all these changes are so they can take the game in a direction of being a board game and market it as a board game so they can get into that board game audience. Because, I mean, if you go on Wizkids' social media, they are marketing so much board game stuff. So much board game stuff. It's crazy. Anyways, Knockback is complicated. It can be fun, but it's complicated. So we're going to streamline it. So characters are sometimes knocked back by an especially hard-hitting attack. When a character is knocked back, the attacking player places them up to 3 squares away from the character that hit them. It doesn't really explain like how you determine the direction, but whatever. So it's going to be up to 3, no more. No more knockback. So if Superman comes in with a heavy and rolls doubles and hits J. Jonah Jameson for 6 damage, and somehow J. Jonah Jameson is still alive, he's not going to get knocked back 6 squares. He's going to get knocked back 3 at most. Okay. I guess they got rid of the whole knockback is optional because you can do up to 3, so you could do 0. If something would block a knockback character, they aren't knocked back any further, period. So that means they're no longer knockback damage. You'll notice there are some differences. Knockback characters don't incur additional damage, and there's not a calculation to determine how far back they go. That I do not like the no more knockback damage. I can understand. I can kind of I can kind of live with knockback being capped at 3, and it just be regardless of what you're doing, you knock back up to 3. I can kind of get with that, but no knockback damage is huge. That means if you knock J. Jonah Jameson, poor J. Jonah Jameson, off of a 3-story building in Heroclix, darn you, Spider-Man! Splat! He takes no damage. J. Jonah Jameson got knocked off a building and takes no damage. How does that make any sense? How does that make any flippin' sense? Mary Jane Watson gets knocked into a wall by the Hulk, by the Incredible Hulk. Knocks Mary Jane Watson. Okay, that's no. J. Jonah Jameson gets knocked into a wall by the Hulk. Yeah, that sounds better. That sounds better. Okay. The Hulk knocks J. Jonah Jameson into a wall with his super strength that he still has because he hasn't been made in 2021 yet. And J. Jonah Jameson takes no damage. Maybe J. Jonah Jameson really is Superman. I mean, he is moving through hindering, he's ignoring pushing damage, and now he's not. And now he's getting knocked off of buildings and not taking damage. Maybe J. Jonah Jameson is really Superman. Everybody, have we considered that possibility? It's dumb. It's really dumb. Removing knockback damage. Like, why? They don't even explain the damage thing. I don't know. I mean, do they even explain? Okay. While you're ahead in Heroclix, you already have plenty of advantages ranging from clicks of life remaining to characters left on the map. You rarely need to reposition and deal bonus damage to opposing characters. Okay, but they're forgetting that sometimes knockback damage was the only way you could deal damage to people. I mean, I haven't done it that often, but I have used Force Blast to force blast somebody off of a building because I knew I didn't have to roll an attack roll and I knew that they would take damage. But now you force blast someone off a building, they're just like, hey, I'm fine. No worries. I fell off a building. No worries, I'm still good. It makes no sense. We suspect the talented players that are innovating on teams and tactics will continue to do so, just in a new environment that nudges the balance between close and range attacks. It's dumb. It's dumb. Let's see. I mean, they talk about some pieces that now that they have double targets, they can charge in-cap multi-targets like the Batman. That's cool. I like that. The question he has... So there are a lot of pieces that have stealth, that even have free smoke cloud, but do not have improved movement hindering, like the new Mr. Sinister from House of X. You know, when I was playing sealed with him, I was like, okay, he has stealth and he wants to outwit people. Okay, I need to put him down in this hindering. And when I put him down in this hindering, it was like, oh, he doesn't have improved movement hindering. Well, that sucks. And then like this past week when I played a game, I was playing the Bishop Prime, and I'm like, okay, I need to keep him safe, so I'm going to put him in hindering, and then I'm like, I'm on a running shot. Oh, he doesn't have improved movement hindering, so he gets a halved. Oh, crap. You can only move two spots and shoot. And then I guess they're talking about Starfire has a stop click, but Earthbound Neutralize no longer impacts moving through hindering. So she can flurry to she has I guess she has flurry on her stop click. She has charged flurry on her stop click, so she can charge flurry. I don't know. It's really weird. I'm okay with some of these changes. The hindering terrain change, I'm not good with. The bolts targeting change, I'm okay with. I think that could add fun new ways to play pieces. The knockback change, I do not like. Okay, look at this. Let's just sum this up, okay? The changes that add more options are okay. Bolts and targeting. But both hindering terrain and knockback remove strategic options. And of course, I don't like them. With hindering, you could put down smoke cloud. You could hide behind hindering. You could force people through it to slow them down. Now you can't do that. With knockback, you can knock people off of elevations or into walls to deal them damage when it would be hard to normally hurt them. You can't do that anymore. Removing strategic options is not good for the game. It's just not. They want to make Heroclix easier for beginners and make it more compelling for rookies. But you got to keep the strategic choices for veterans. And you're not doing that, Wizkids. You're not doing that. You removed pushing damage. There goes a strategic choice. You benched powers. That's options for strategic players. What is this? Feedback. Doesn't matter. Less is more. You changed powers by removing options from them. You removed the bonus that name theme teams had over generic theme teams. And now you're removing hindering terrain strategic options and knockback strategic options. All these choices are removing strategic options. So just go back and edit this page and remove this line, because you are not focusing on the fun and strategic choices for veterans. You're just not. Be honest with yourself, Wizkids. You're just not. You're trying to redesign the game to either appeal to new board game players or appeal to this not even out there imaginary group of new players who are suddenly immune to the pandemic, that are getting out and going to their venue every week, which does not exist. That's what's happening. That's exactly what's happening. I'm noticing each of my videos for these rules are getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And it's because the stuff Wizkids is coming up with makes less and less sense each time. They're changing things just to change things. If they were just adding things, you know? Some of my favorite things. Let's see. The initiative bonus change. That was for the health of the game. I get that. I don't know. I don't know if some of these other stuff. I don't know. When was the last time? I don't know. I don't know. Leap climb. They kind of improved leap climb. But the bolts and targeting was an addition to the game that I think gave you more options. But all these other stuff is just removing options. I don't know. It feels bad, man. It feels bad. That's all I'm saying. I just imagine people that haven't played Heroclix since the pandemic started. They're going to show back up to stores this fall, maybe, hopefully, when venues open back up. And they're going to be like, let's play a game of Heroclix. Why not? It's been a while. And they're going to sit down with someone that knows all these changes. And that person's going to be like, oh, no, you don't take pushing damage anymore. Oh, no, I can multi-target you up close. Oh, no, I don't get slowed down in hindering terrain. Oh, no, that's not how telekinesis works anymore. Oh, no. It's ridiculous. Why Wizkids felt they needed to completely change the game during a pandemic. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. I just don't. I can see adjusting powers. I can see even doing some of these small changes, like the theme team thing and the bolts thing, whatever. But they're changing everything. I have no idea what's coming next. I have no idea. For all I know, they could be removing dice altogether and just being like, flip a coin. If heads, you hit. If tails, you miss. I mean, honestly, it's not out of the realm of speculation, of possibility or anything. Because they literally are changing everything about this game. Well, that's how I feel about this article. Thank you so much for watching this video, everybody. I hope together we can still learn to have fun playing this game. There are a lot of cool Heroclix products coming out in 2021, even though at the moment we only know up to the Wonder Woman set and nothing afterwards. I'm sure that'll change soon, hopefully. But I hope we can all still find some fun in this game. If you don't like what they're suggesting, they have game feedback at wizkids.com. Email them and let them know. I'm going to email them at a certain point and once all these articles are out and just sum up all my thoughts on everything. But let them know. Let them know how you feel. Again, nothing is going to change this year. Nothing's going to change this year. Do not expect any alterations from what their proposed changes are this year. But maybe next year. Maybe next year, 2022. Let's hold out the hope for 2022, right? But thank you so much for watching this video. Try to stay safe out there, everybody. You know, wear a mask, wash your hands, stay socially distanced, because there's a lot of people that could still get sick out there. We're all just trying to get through this pandemic and get back to some sort of normalcy, going back to our venues on a weekly basis and playing the game that we love. Thank you so much for watching this video. Have a good day, everybody. Enjoy playing Heroclix. Bye-bye.